Hello. I'm live. I'm live. Melissa, thank you for saying you like my hair clip. I don't like what my hair is doing in this little spot right here. Hi. Can you guys hear me fine? I was really struggling this boom arm and I'm worried. I'm worried for it. We have another piece of furniture coming soon. So hey guys. Hi. You know, it just made me sad right before I popped into before I went live. Um, I saw that the mask skimmer said, I only stand Oliver. And when I sat down to get ready for this, he was in here. And then he went to the door to be like, okay, mom, I know what you're about to do. I want to go play with my brother or my toys or go nap. So I asked him to stay, but he did not want to. I look gorgeous. Thank you. I am, I think my look is doing the most. I guess it looks fine on camera. Ooh, look at that. But it's just, listen, let's talk about fashion for a second. Because, well, I've got so many things to announce and I don't know what order to do them in. And I have a whole outline and stuff. So I need like a pin for this part, or we just say fuck it and let it be. I don't know. Did I say fuck it in the first 2 minutes? I guess we'll see about monetization. Taylor says my comments on Twitter brought peace and joy to your heart. I don't even know. Okay, can I be real about something? I will say something on Twitter and then by a couple hours later, not even remember what the hell I said. So let me actually pull something up because I've got some. I told you guys. Alistair says, hello, how are you doing today? I'm going to get to that. Thank you. And I'm going to talk about super chats and updates and all of this stuff. So, hi, welcome to basically a podcast with Hella Leesh, live on Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a podcast where I don't wear headphones. This is essentially how I characterize it. And if you're new, or just weren't here for the first one or two, if you're here, you're going to see like a certain part of my stomach that is just sticking out from these buttons. And I just gotta let it be. But it was just, I don't know what prompted me to do this live for the first time. I think that I was doing live streams every now and then. I do private or unlisted live streams for my patrons every week, but I wanted to make sure that I was still doing public live streams every now and then. You know what it was? I was trying to do 2 videos a week and realizing that that was just too much. And so I told myself, let's try doing a video a week and a public live stream a week. And then that turned out being something that you guys seem to really like. And that caught me by surprise. So I was like, well, then let's keep doing this. And I joked that it was basically a podcast because, like, we're just talking. It's just a conversation. And so for anybody who is joining and expecting for this to have any sort of structure, you're in luck today because there is maybe going to be some structure. But it's still a conversation. It's still going to be something where my long-windedness is just probably going to take the wheel. And we're just going to talk about whatever the hell we want. And yeah, and just try to have a good time. So if you're looking for a super structured video essay or something like that, try my regular videos. They're still not that exactly, but closer to that. So in terms of updates, I want to take a moment for everybody to notice, but I especially want to notice a couple of people you may have seen on Twitter. And if you're a patron, you probably saw on Discord that I now have hired help. I have a couple of people, Leaf, who is a wrench in the chat, and Amber, who actually, Amber, I need to go ahead and make sure that I give you a wrench so people can see you too. You see Amber Selby Brown here in the chat, who now has a wrench. You can say something, Amber. See your little blue wrench pop up. And Leaf is not only a wrench here, but also a moderator on my Discord. And they both have agreed to help me on a weekly basis to make this better because I need help with these VAPs. I need help with making them more structured and just a tad bit more sophisticated, and just making sure that I'm kind of like maximizing my time and your time, and really just kind of like the format that we've created here, and see if we can get the most out of it. So that's the big one. The really good news is, and I probably need to get an update from Leaf on where we stand with this. But one thing that a lot of people have been asking for is, wait, did Amber have a reaction to getting a wrench? Oh, I want to know what happened because that sounds funny. But yeah, yay, yeah, claps for Leaf and Amber. I'm so excited. They're so much fun to work with. We've been only going through this, we've been working at this since sometime over the weekend. And already, I don't know if you guys have seen like some of the images that have been placed online for like promo and stuff. They're amazing. And so thank you to, if you're curious at all as to kind of how these people are going to be helping me. Amber is really fantastic about like, well, like everything, but in terms of creating organization and keeping things on track, and just like that that I need so much help with. And so she's really helping on that side, but also like happens to be like a social media marketing genius, it seems like. I'm still like every single day realizing more and more of her powers. So there's that. We also know that Leaf is capable of like anything too. And they are helping a lot with a lot of the same things, but also particularly things on the kind of technical or like podcast end of things. So what I mean by that is, am I even allowed to say, Leaf? Your head's going to be so big, Amber. We're now on all podcast streaming platforms. So that's super exciting. So I know that a lot of people have asked me like, "Hey, can you please put these on Spotify? I want to listen to Apple Podcasts." And like I even started to like download backlog of all of my all of these events to go and put them on the platforms and all that. And then I just like, if you know me at all, you know that I don't have enough time in a day. So now that I have people willing to help me, we can make those things happen. And if I'm not mistaken, let's see, Leaf says that we are partway through the backlog, waiting on Anchor to fully publish the platforms. We are on Spotify. So we are in the process of, oh, there's a fly in here. Fun. We're in the process of getting the entire backlog of VAP episodes on the streaming platforms, which is not even what I asked Leaf to do. So thank you for just going way above and beyond. So now we're going to have all of those available on top of this one, and then those moving forward. So I think what we can expect moving forward, of course, is that you can hear and view this first here on YouTube live. When I say here, I'm talking to the people who are on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, then I'll talk to you in a second, or any of the other platforms. But those will be probably the next day or so. So Tuesday evenings for YouTube live, and then probably like Wednesday mornings or something like that for streaming platforms. So there's that. Let's see what else. Let me see. So let me see. So also we're gonna have a new format for super chats, because you guys know that I've been a mess with this. I never expected this to be a thing, in my defense, but with super chats, I started to realize that people have been really utilizing those as a means of asking questions and giving their opinions, which is amazing. And I so appreciate it. Thank you guys for taking that route, for those of you who do. But because they started to come in so frequently, and you've heard me say, like, I feel like I'm a dick if I don't at least acknowledge these people who are giving me donations. So I do always want to make sure that I'm shouting those people out that are sending me money, frankly. But at the same time, you know that I already have a hard enough time keeping my train of thought. So I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to balance my train of thought with super chats, and like I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I'm messy. I'm messy. It's okay to be called messy sometimes. And so what we're going to be doing is just taking super chat breaks. Why not do that? I think a few of you guys have recommended that. I'm pretty sure that I have talked about that. I'm pretty sure that my patrons have talked to me about that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep messing with this lack of a button right here for the next 2 hours. I hope you don't mind. So, Snange brain says I'm messy too, lol. So, let's see. What else do I have for you guys? So there's that. So if you send any super chats, they will be read. In fact, we've got this whole cool tool and everything that perhaps will allow me to keep those organized without having to go through the YouTube, blah, blah, blah. If you know anything about that, it's a mess. Everything's a mess except for moving forward because we're going to be very organized. So there's that. Those are kind of the things to expect right now. And then we're hoping that these things will become more and more sophisticated over time, the more we kind of get a hang of it. This is the first time that the three of us are working together on this, and we only started working on this like Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, something like that. So kind of let's look forward. Let's see what kind of changes we'd like to see. I'd like to get a better computer working so that I can perhaps screen share with you guys, maybe get some intro music going, some outro music going. But definitely if I'm going to be talking to you guys about like an image or something like that, I'd rather be able to show you on this screen. And then of course for our listeners, we'll do our best to describe what we're looking at. So, and of course, one thing that has just kind of become a staple in VAP is, well, I was going to say my outfits and my fashion choices, but like this dress is really disappointing me. And I was told by one of my producers that I should probably describe to you guys what I'm wearing or where you can see it. This dress I chose was giving me like, I don't know if it was like Valentino vibes. It had like these like almost, I don't know if I want to call it. Well, how would you describe this? Leaf, I know Leaf and I have a very similar love for like Roman Catholic artistry and architecture and stuff like that. And it's almost those vibes. What is this? An empire waist? It's busy. It's busy and it's pretty. It's up close. It definitely is one of those garments where you're like, oh, that was definitely printed onto that fabric. But if you're curious about where to find this dress, I mentioned a shop online because I find these shops every now and then I buy from them and then I see if I love them. This one is the one that is Hawaii.com, where it is spelled like the state, except for the last I is a Y. So HAWAIY. And one thing that I'm thinking I might want to do is because I do like to pick these like fun dresses in particular, sometimes, you know, skirts and blouses and all that. But I like to find these fun outfits that I may not wear again. So what I would like to do, and I know I've said this in the past, but hey, if I tell you guys this now and really mean it, and if you guys really want me to do it, then it'll like maybe light a fire under my ass. But I'd like to get maybe a Depop going so that you know, those of you who want to buy, if you like what I'm wearing and you want to buy it brand new, I can direct you where to go to find that. And those of you who are my size and would like to buy it a little bit cheaper and only worn once, then you can do that. Somebody said something about earrings. I don't know if anybody cares about my earrings. These were just part of some cheap pack from H&M. Yeah, do we like the idea of a Depop? Do we like the idea of the fact that I'm popping out of this dress? Selma says that I am looking extra gorgeous today. Thank you. You guys are a little too nice to me sometimes. But I do think it's important that I'm wearing my hashtag ClipsforJessiSmiles. Is anybody else in the audience wearing them? Be real. Be honest. Are you wearing your clips for Jessi Smiles? People are saying, like Amber says, yes, yes, but I don't know if that was for my boobs. I don't know if that is for clips. I don't know if that's for Depop. I do like this clip. This one's a lot of fun. I'm going to get up close to the camera for the video viewers. They're these like leaves. I like them. Yay, October is wearing clips. Roasted beef is wearing butterfly clips. People are wearing all kinds of clips because that's what it's all about. Boobs and clips, Moonchild says. And Rachel says that she doesn't have clips, but she supports the movement. So, yes. Clips for Jessi and boobs for Leesh. I really wish that I had a safety pin within reach, but I don't. So, we're just going to struggle. Where did the clips thing start? Should I go ahead and explain that now? And maybe we'll get into it a little bit later. Gabbie Hanna released, I guess, her chapter. There's been some questions around whether it's a chapter, the chapter, part of a chapter, but on Jessi Smiles. And in it, I noticed the irony that I noticed that really bothered me was that at the very beginning of the episode, or towards the beginning, Gabbie, is crying and complaining and saying that she's being bullied online. She just wants to be left alone. And the initial irony I saw in that was like, no, like you can't go online. And I said this on Twitter. You can't go online and like all throughout April and May just go on a tirade calling people names and being like an actual bully, and then complain that like you just want to be left alone to do your art once people actually start responding. And most people are responding in ways that are very tactful. So like I was like, that's not okay. But then as I was watching more of the chapter, I got very upset when Gabbie was responding essentially to Jessi's video from November of 2019 and said something along the lines of, imagine putting in a hair clip to sit down and do this. And I was like, really? Are we really going to try to trash Jessi for choosing to like style her hair for a video? So when that moment happened, I decided I needed to start wearing my hair clips a little more frequently and letting you guys know. More on that in a little bit. What else do we have? We also have, let's see. I've got an outline. I've got formats. I've got some emails that some of you guys have sent me that I haven't gotten to yet. I will do my best to get to what I can. But like I said, super chats are always going to take precedence over that. Oh, and just for my patrons, if you do have anything to communicate to me or to us, you can do that through the Discord, and then the producers will do with it what they need to do. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing. That's where you can find it. That's perhaps where these will start to live if you guys like the idea of a Depop. Also, I'm collecting a bunch. This will happen from time to time. I think I sent one of these to October. I sent one of these to Kathleen. These are people who've been watching my channel for a while. Ashley has definitely received one of these. But in kind of these like shopping hauls that I do to find like the right outfits for these things, I end up getting things that like I think I'm going to wear and I think they're cute. And then it gets to a point where I've had it for a couple of months and I'm like, I never wore this. So I do keep those things. So if we want to do like fashion boxes where I put together a box of just like a bunch of either unworn or clothes that maybe I've worn like a little bit, or just clothes that I'm retiring, and you can perhaps get one of those. Maybe that's something I can do through Depop. I don't know. I've never even been on that site. So there's that. In terms of just catching up with you guys and letting you know like what's going on with me right now. I'll just be honest with you guys, like I always am. I'm very hot right now because this is probably made of polyester. But also just to let you know, I have been, and I'm going to say this because I think I might want to talk about it either a little bit later in this episode or in another one, but I have been dealing with a headache / migraine for over 24 hours now. And those are the ones that if I look at my phone, it's only because I'm wondering if my producers are messaging me. The headaches have always been kind of a big issue with me. I can remember going to the emergency room back in 2012 over it. And then it just being an issue, at me getting the date ring to try to help for it, and then moving down to Savannah and it just being continually an issue. So, again, perhaps I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I am dealing with, like, it's not like super migraine level, but it is definitely like this ring light here is not helping me that much. But I want to be here with you guys. So it's a trade-off, and it is one that I'm happy to make. So yeah, to much love to anybody out there that's dealing with a headache or a migraine right now. #WaterGang. I'm not usually the one to water gang you guys, but this time I am. Oof. And to anybody who might be new, #WaterGang is something that we do around here, and it is a command. If you hear or see #WaterGang, it is your responsibility to take a sip of water. So, and as we say around here, BAP, we're going to make you pee so bad. So good or so bad. We're going to make you pee so good. So, I have, what do I have here up on the docket for today? Yeah, I will have to be honest in saying that my migraine has perhaps gotten in the way of my ability to think clearly about what I want to talk about today, because we've had like these things happening over here with the like Gabbie and Jessi videos, and then Jessi's pinned response, which I actually honestly have not gotten a chance to read. I know a lot of you guys have been talking about it. Maybe I'll read it on here if we don't have anything else to do. And I actually didn't realize that there were more episodes than I thought. So I caught up on those over the past couple of days. And then right before this, like as I was rounding out the work day, because I have a job, I found out about the podcast but Tana Mongeau's new podcast called Canceled. And on episode 2, she had Trisha Paytas as her first guest. So that happened. So I'm like, okay, do we talk about that? But also, what do you guys think about the concept of a salt? We either called it a salty segment or a salty center, which I wonder if it would be helpful for me to kind of catch you guys up on like what the fuck is going on Twitter. Because I know that we talk a lot about on this channel, but especially in BAP, about like things that are happening on Twitter. But then I realized, like, especially before I was creating videos, I was not spending time on Twitter. And just considering how many Twitter followers I have versus how many people watch these videos, y'all are not on Twitter. Good for you. I mean, those of you who are there in the trenches with me, thank you. But if you're not on Twitter, don't go there to try to catch up on this. I can give you the rundown if that's what you guys want. And then maybe you can know kind of like where my head is with everything right now. I don't know if now might be a good time just to check, because I know we've had a couple of a few super chats. What's really exciting? Can I just like geek out over like spreadsheets with you guys for a second? This is so exciting. So, because I have really fucking fantastic producers, I not only have a spreadsheet that says like, here's our outline for today, and like things that we need to do. Here are your emails. Here are some tweets that you can read. But also there is, you know how I'm always like, say Dak, help me find my super chats. I can't find my super chats. I missed a super chat. They are now imported into this document automatically. Like, thank you, Amber, for finding this tool that does that. But here's Pop, 1 second. Maybe that'll make my headache go away. Wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, so my super chats are now imported into a spreadsheet as well as super stickers. So so that I should not miss any of you guys. So perhaps guys, producers, as I read through them, if I forget to, maybe we can just like gray out the ones that I've read just so that I know what I've read and what I have not. But I do want to recognize that Blue sent me a pear character putting its hand hold on putting its hand in front of its mouth while blushing. That's cute. Thank you, Blue, for that. We love you over here. Also, let's see who else. Alistair asked me how I was doing today. So, Alistair, I'm doing okay, but I am dealing with the headache. In all honesty, and honestly, I'm just kind of irritated with some of the things happening on Twitter, which is why I suggested that we talk about that after this, if you want. Let's see. Morgan L says, I can only be here for a minute, but I'm sending my love and I can't wait to hear the discussion. Yay, Morgan. The good news is that if you don't want to watch the playback on YouTube, you can just like listen on Spotify. I wish you could listen in real time. Like if you had to I got to go somewhere, maybe you could be, but no. Tomorrow you can most likely. But thank you. Moonchild says, can I help with the structure of finger pointing? I have no idea what you mean by that, but Moonchild, I love you. So yes, you may. And then Liz, hi Liz. It says, hi everyone, heart. Hi Leesh. I've been waiting for this BAP. So much to discuss. Love you lots. I love you too. And please, ideas for what to discuss or help me get this format down. I think I might just be a little overwhelmed because we have like all these new changes that are really amazing. But I'm overwhelmed because before I used to just be like, hey, we're just going to sit down and chat for 2 hours. And I would do it. I would chat for 2 hours, but with no structure and also losing my train of thought. I don't know how many seconds. And one of these days, if I'm important enough, somebody's going to make a compilation of all the times I've lost my train of thought and just sit here and stare at you for a good 3 to 5 seconds. So, let me catch up with the chat. Sassy finger pointing. That's I just happened to pop over in the chat and see Moonchild clarified that she means sassy finger pointing that scares me and makes me drop my cookie into my milk. If you don't know that there was one time, was it in the last BAP that I did that? And Moonchild dropped her cookie. And then in a Patreon live, I did the same thing. And she was like, I just fell off the hill in the game that I'm playing. It was the funniest thing. So let's see. Let me make sure that I'm going to pull up Twitter just to give you a rundown of like what the hell's happening right now. Because it's like there's always so much. I was gonna say, if you don't know about Clips for Jessi, well, of course you do, because I just told you about it. So that was something that happened. I, of course, can't tell you everything that's happened over the past week, right? That's like way too much. Yeah, I shared some, and of course you can check out all of this stuff by going to my social. Here's now I should tell you my socials. I'm Hello Leesh across the board. So easy to find. Hello Leesh on Twitter, on social media, on Instagram, on Twitch, on probably like Tumblr and World of Warcraft and like literally everywhere except for Snapchat. Somebody stole my name before I could get to it, but it's fine because I hate Snapchat. Let's see. So Clips for Jessi became a thing. If you didn't see, somebody posted that they the only thing they wanted to celebrate today was Keanu Reeves hair clips. This is what makes me so excited about being able to get like screen share with you guys so I can just show you guys the images. Let me see. Me fighting with Gabbie stands. Meigs. Okay. I don't know. This is like, I hate to do it in like such a rickety way and like show you guys off my phone, but Meigs shared this this TikTok with me that she says is essentially every BAP / water gang moment. Hold on. You're probably dehydrated. Okay. So this is a picture where a girl, or not a picture, this is a TikTok where a girl comes into the frame. She's got a stool and she sits down and she's wearing a top where her chest is like very visible towards like pretty kind of where mine is. And she's wearing a short skirt. So I don't know if you, yeah, you can kind of see it. If this obvious thirst trap makes you feel thirsty, you have a serious issue. You're probably dehydrated. It's a hydration check. When was the last time you drank some water? That vodka does not count, baby. Hilarious. So that's a user named @Wolverine. Meeks, that was a good find. That was amazing. Thank you. So that happened on Twitter. I lost track of where I was. Bailey, you missed a lot of updates. I think you're good to just like pay just to watch and then maybe go back and find out what those updates are because they are important, but you don't need to watch this stuff in order. Yeah, I called out a public figure that I actually don't think is a bad person, so I don't want to create any more friction around that. Shared some more clips because I'm a sassy little bitch that likes to make a petty point by being nice. So share your clips collection. Also, Jake is clearly home and making lots of noise because that's what he does. People were sharing their selfies with Clips for Jessi makes me so happy. I talked about a video by a creator named Sunny Z. She created a video, or she posted a video called Confessions of a Former Gabbie Hanna Fan. I found to be a really insightful video and better done than my videos. So I would recommend checking that out. If I remember to, I will put a link in the description. Confessions of a Former Gabbie Hanna Fan. Let's see. Also, my links to my socials are also in the description always. So there's that. It's funny because one of my producers asked me, like, hey, maybe during this segment you can talk about what did you say? People that your schedule and headache don't have time for right now. I was accused of being an MIT. Yeah. No. Yes, I'm accused of being an MIT, but I'm denying it. What the hell that means, I don't know. Let me see. I'm just kind of scrolling through right now. I was making some announcements about the podcast. Yeah, some really shitty people created a fake JessiSmiles account just to say post really horrible shit. So if you see things like that, please report the accounts. But I believe it's gone now, thankfully. And I think that's pretty much what was going on today. What is an MIT? The university? Yeah, that's what I'd like to know too. Now that's what people want to know. They want to be, oh my God, babe. Hey, Jacob. Yeah, so I did go to MIT. That I don't know what the claim is that this stan is claiming about me or that I made. But I did go to MIT my freshman year of college. No. Yeah, nobody knows what it means. Some people say that it means a master in technology. I doubt it. I don't know. You'll have to talk to the stands about this one. This is a particular stand that does not shy away from responding to things. Why they haven't responded to this, I don't know. Hey, you, if you're paying attention, what do you mean that I am an MIT and claiming that I'm not? That's the part that makes me laugh. It's not just that I'm an MIT, it is that I claim I'm not. I mean, I'm not MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. No, I am not. I cannot, like, I'm flattered that you think that I am the entire Institute of Technology of Massachusetts, But no, I am not that. But I did go there for a year. Unfortunately, I didn't go for my own reasons. I wasn't happy there, and so I just didn't keep up with anything I needed to do there, and ended up transferring to a school where I was a lot happier. I'm conflicted a little bit about it these days because I ended up going somewhere that was much easier. I had a good time in school, um, but I'm not sure, like, potentially where I could have taken my career had I chosen a school of the same caliber of MIT, or chosen a program, or just a reason to be there on my own. Or honestly, if I had gotten some sort of accommodations that I maybe have needed um, for possible learning disabilities or anything like that, that I at the time um, suspected that I might have, but never really looked into. So, a wine mom in training? No. No, 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 no. Because Hello Leesh is not a wine consumer, nor is anybody planning to be a mom at all. But if we are talking about in terms of what the person who accused me of being an MIT, yes, that person does believe that I am already totally wine mom, as illustrated by my beautiful decor around me. So, let's see. Is there anything I need to check on, y'all? Y'all. Let me just make sure that I don't know if there are any new super chats. There are. My goodness. Okay. Anytime that there's a lull, I'll just be like, hey, I think it's a super chat break. And they're there. So I appreciate you guys. Oh my God, so much. Thank you. So Caitlin, okay, who texting me? Okay. Okay, sorry, I didn't turn off the ding, but hey, we're getting there. I got a notification. You got some chats. I love it. I am so smitten. Let me just be real with you guys. I am so smitten with the fact that to some degree this still feels like I'm like you're playing house. Like, I think you guys might know what I mean when I say, like, when you start to grow up, like when you become an adult, the more you start to learn how to do adult things, right? Say, like, especially when you start to like enter your 30s or like late 20s, and you're like, ooh, like I'm making my own dinner and I am picking out my own furniture. This is like I'm an adult. This is the stuff I used to pretend I would do like when I was a kid. It almost feels like that right now. It feels like I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna pretend to be a podcaster. Let's like do podcast things. So, except for it's legit. We're on streaming platforms now. When you're on Spotify, there's nothing more legit than that. And Apple Podcasts. I can't deny you guys and whatever other podcast streaming platforms there are that I don't know about. So Caitlin Ashley says, my first BAP chat, it's been a really good 30 minutes. It has been a really good 30 minutes. Unfortunately, I have to go, but I'll be watching back. I just wanted to say hello. Well, thank you for saying hello. The only reason I said, is that I'm losing you. But really happy that you're going to come back and listen to the playback. Maybe leave me a comment after you read this. But thank you for leaving your first super chat and just letting me know that you're here. October wants to know, can we talk about how I'm a turtle? What was the title you gave me? It wasn't a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, because that acronym doesn't check out. A mutated integrated turtle or something like that. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a possibility. October, I think you're going to have to talk to that Stan, because that might be what I was being accused of. So, and let's see. And Wing Snapper Dice says, good evening, Leesh. Good evening to you. Actually, you guys have made this a good evening for me. I have been really struggling. I don't want to say miserable, because like I have Jake, and I have like, even I will say, like, last night he and I, like, I was feeling really crappy and I was trying to edit my video and I was like, babe, I think I want to come to, and we decided to put on Kevin Hart, some stand-up comedy from over a decade ago, and we were just cracking up. So like I haven't been miserable, but I've just been in pain. But my spirits are definitely lifted talking to you guys, so thank you. Becca Cashchen says, I'm super sick. Oh no, not COVID, but happy to be able to sit and listen to you talk. Oh, been keeping up on Twitter, and oh my Lord, I love you. Your dress is heart eyes. Thank you. You guys can have this dress when I'm done with it. I'll wash it. But I'm not planning on wearing it again. And also be prepared to get some sort of like safety pin or an extra button, or just to maybe like put a little like jewel right here on your upper, like, this is, if you're curious as to what part of my my body you can see, it is right around my diaphragm, I would say. To the listeners, the viewers can see my diaphragm. No, not my diaphragm, but just like the skin right around that area. So, maybe get like a little belly jewel, like a troll, a stick-on one. Get a whole sheet of them so you can like mix and match depending on what, lipstick you wear that day. Also, Haley Adamar says, usually a silent listener, but you're gorgeous. Oh, I love your approach to commentary. Black Heart, and thanks for introducing me to Sajak. You're welcome. You're welcome, Sajak, too. No, but Sajak is a hilarious YouTuber and has been getting so much exposure, and she deserves that and more. She's so entertaining to watch. I've a lot of my I've been starting to make some connections between some up and coming YouTubers, and realizing that some of them are viewers of mine, and like obviously like Sajak and I are friends, so I knew that about her. But like I've mentioned at this point, Just a Journalist. I've mentioned in this podcast, Sunny Z. Somebody else I haven't mentioned who I think does deserve a shout out is Rainy Day Reviews and Commentary. Is that correct? Somebody can tell me if I'm right or wrong on that. But I appreciate their videos too. Like, these people just, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome. I'm definitely not a modest person. I don't know what it is, or maybe I'm just not that good at it. But when I watch them, I'm like, you guys are so much better at this than I am. I don't know that I'm this organized in my thoughts, or that I use words as big as your words. And I am supposedly an MIT, though I claim I'm not. So that still checks out. And yes, that's her name. Thank you, Taylor, for letting us know. Also, Jake's Baby Cakes, every time I see that, I'm like, you don't deserve that name. That's my name. But maybe you are Jake's Baby Cakes, so maybe we can both be that. So, hashtag Water Gang. I don't know if that's because I'm like talking so much, or because of the headache, or both. Yeah, everybody here seems to already be, or if everybody's like, dude, like, we know about Rainy Day Reviews and Commentary. You don't need to tell us. I'm really excited to get caught up. And the funny thing is, I don't know that the bigger channels are doing it for me anymore. And maybe it's that maybe there's not enough. Okay, this is just like a side note, not something I plan to talk about. Maybe there's not enough like good true commentary on YouTube, or because there's always infinite amount of whatever on YouTube, right? Or it's not given as much attention as I think it's warranted. Because I'm subscribed to probably a dozen different drama channels, which like that serves a purpose and there's a market for that. But the thing is that once you've watched like a Def Noodles video, you're caught up on what happened in the past day. And then, there are people like, there are certain drama channels, I would say, like actually give a good bit of commentary, like Peter Mon. Peter Mon, I think everybody here agrees, is like basically a saint. But I still watch Angelica Oles. But some of these, like, especially because with drama channels, it's like very condensed, very fast reporting. It also gets to the point where, like, if I've missed a video or I haven't caught up in a couple of days, if it's been it's been 2 or 3 days, like cold tea, there's no point in me watching the video. But if I see a commentary video that is on a topic that interests me that was made a month ago, I'm like, oh shit, I haven't watched this. I need to watch this. So I wonder if you guys are the same way. So I feel like I'm missing more of that in my life. So so kind of like I said, you guys who are like smaller channels that are up and coming, like it really doesn't matter how small the channel is. Like you can be really, really fantastic at this thing. So I'm really excited to find out. I like when my patrons link me to these others. There's another one. She's not smaller than me. She has over 100,000 subscribers. I don't remember her name. It was like something coffee and something and something. I'm sure that the wrenches will help me out with this. But you guys sent a video that she did that was over an hour long, and I just love long form commentary. And is it called An Honest Conversation? It's called some that's like probably the truncated version, right? But yeah, she oh yeah, Evangelina Skov, we stand. Evangelina Skov and we were kind of like when I got to about 30K, Ava was around 30K. So we've been peers, though her channel kind of like definitely saw a burst of growth, especially after I think being featured in some publication. So like, yay, awesome. We love that. But yeah. Coffee and Crime Time, not. I'm actually the only true crime commentary channel, true crime YouTuber that I watch is Bailey Sarian. Nobody doesn't like Bailey Sarian. Like I vote that Bailey Sarian takes Jenna Marbles' place as just the sweetheart of YouTube, because I think Bailey Sarian absolutely deserves it. And if you don't know who Bailey Sarian is, you're welcome, because you've got so much content that you are going to so love for days. So so congrats to you. So there's that. Let me see. Let me take a look at my little outline here, because I know I haven't even really talked about those topics that we were talking about. Okay. So looking at the title of my thumbnail, because I did, like I said, I listened to Tana's podcast, or at least this one episode with Trisha Paytas. And I'm really curious it's one of those things where I feel like once I get opinions from other people, I might have more to say on it. I have this habit of being like, I don't think much about that thing. And then as soon as people start talking about it, I'm like, okay, I've got some things to say. But I will say I was a little let down. Not because I find these people to be any less than interesting. There's no way for me to talk about Tana and Trisha Paytas without some people being like, I don't even have to say their names without people being like, oh, because you love Trisha Paytas so much. Trisha Paytas sucks, and you're just like all up Trisha's ass and blah blah blah. Like, guys, I'm not here to talk about that. I mean, it's categorically true. No, it's not true. But like that doesn't determine whether or not somebody is entertaining. And I think when I saw that Tana and Trisha were talking on this podcast, and that they were both like gonna like openly talk about other YouTubers and stuff, I think I was expecting it to be a little bit juicier. And maybe I just need to go back and listen in a different mindset. One thing I do find funny is that just like how many different people does Trisha claim is like the worst person on YouTube? Because of course they started with saying like, I think they asked Tana like, who's your least favorite or who's the worst YouTuber, and Tana wasn't going to say on the air, but Trisha was like, well, I know you're friends with David, but David is the worst. But then of course when Gabbie came up in conversation, Trisha was like, "Oh no, she's actually the worst. Like I would rather what did Trisha say? I would rather like suck on David's ball sack than ever see her on the internet again," or something like that. It's kind of funny. I was surprised that Tana was willing to talk about Gabbie though. There are a couple things about this. See, now I'm starting to talk about it, and now I'm like, okay. I heard that one of the criticisms for some reason around this was saying that people saying that like, "Oh, Trisha has been flipping and flopping about their opinion about Tana Mongeau." And I disagree with that, and of course, people are gonna say that's because I like Trisha, like, it really has nothing to do with that. I could say that, that Gabbie Hanna has maintained her opinion about JessiSmiles and has not flipped and flopped. It doesn't have anything to do with liking somebody or not. I think I know what people were seeing, and I think that's what Tana and Trisha were kind of working out in the podcast. And it was kind of this notion that they don't like each other. Understandably, I think people picked up on something and it was a little like misguided. So if you don't know, Trisha Paytas and Jason Nash broke up. It's like the fact that I know these dates and stuff, like we'll talk about my brain later. On February 3rd or February 5th of 2019. And it was all because of a video that Trisha put out called David Dobrik is a Horrible Person, in which they talked about just like they alluded to some things that like now we're starting to see actually come to fruition. Like they expressed their disdain for David and kind of how reckless he is with his videos, how much his friends just kind of like suck up to him for relevance, etc. And they did say something really dangerous is going to happen within that friend group. I don't know what it is, but something really bad and something really dangerous is going to happen. And then, of course, here most recently and most notably, we've seen that Jeff Wittick has sustained a traumatic brain injury. One that when is described, I just get like just way too vivid images in my mind and it just like horrifies me. Even just seeing what happened, even the censored version of it, just like, horrible. And I just I can't imagine what that's like. Like, of course you can make the joke that it's like, oh, like Jeff Wittick is like the pretty boy of the group. I mean, they're all those people are like pretty people. But that's kind of his thing, right? He's the new pretty boy. And then, his face is completely like smashed. And it's like there's like a joke in there about like, what do you do when you don't have, but like really like that is something that is like, I think for any of us, like just to look in the mirror and to see that your face is changed, possibly forever, possibly irreparably. I mean, they've done really, really good work in terms of like making sure that he's safe for one and reconstructing his the damage that was done, but just like how reckless that mistake was and the fact that the details of that didn't come out until after this big cancellation over the essay situation. Like, and Trisha did tell us, I'm going off on a tangent. That's fine. It's what we do here. Trisha did tell us that like that wasn't me being this is not verbatim. Dealing with Gabbie Hanna and Gabbie Hanna fans and Gabbie Hanna content has made me so paranoid about not saying things verbatim, even though I am getting the proper sentiment across. But anyway, I think Trisha said, I think on Frenemies, something along the lines of like, it wasn't me like being a fortune teller or anything like that, or like any sort of psychic. I just like, I'd seen it. They'd seen it happen with Jonah. There was some sort of stunt where Jonah was going to like jump the pool over on like a dirt bike or something like that, and he missed it and then ended up like hurting himself because he ran into the side of the pool. And I think for me, I was a fan of the Vlog Squad, which let's take a moment for that. I was a big fan of the Vlog Squad. There are still some Vlog Squad members that I still happen to like. There are still a few of them that I follow on social media. I don't really watch them anymore. No, I don't really watch them anymore. Doesn't mean I never will. I do think that David Dobrik is talented. I have mixed feelings. I think that a lot of the stuff that's come out about them is absolutely valid. David being irresponsible is totally valid. Jason being a creep, actually, now that Trisha's pointed out some of these, totally valid. a lot of this, all this stuff is valid. But this just reminded me of something because it's like, I'm never going to deny that I was a fan of the Vlog Squad. That's the first thing I told you guys when I started my YouTube channel, was like, these are the YouTubers I like and these are the ones I don't like. And pretty much everybody that I said that I do like is like not that great anymore. So I'm pretty sure that I was like, oh yeah, The Rewired Soul I watch, and the Vlog Squad I watch, and Shane Dawson I watch. Where does that leave us, bitch? I probably even said I liked Gabbie Hanna. I don't think I said I liked Trisha Paytas at the time. That's like a funny, interesting misconception. People think that I'm some sort of like huge Trisha Paytas fan. My thoughts on Trisha and on Tana might have to wait for another day. We'll see. But then that brings up just another thing that I saw on Twitter today, which was I stumbled upon some screenshot that was from some Gabbie fan, and it was a lovely screenshot of a beautiful picture of me. And I will say that because it's the one picture that I use across all my YouTube stuff, my profile picture. And I posted it to Instagram, I guess, or maybe it was Twitter, I don't know, because I had sung one of Gabbie's songs out loud, I think it was, on Smile Karaoke app, which I've been asking Smile to please sponsor me for a long time. I've been using your product for years and years and years. I've been paying $100 a year for VIP status. At least you could do a sponsor, girl. But yeah, they posted a screenshot where I had my photo, and then I put a line from the song. I said just like something, "You're still everywhere," and then quoted, the song out loud by Gabbie Hanna, hashtag karaoke and all that. And the stan posted a screenshot of this and said, "I think about this so often." And I'm like, you think about that often? I don't think about that ever. And the thing is, I'm not denying it. The thing is, I told y'all that I was a Gabbie fan. Like, not a fan. I think the thing is that the stans themselves mistake a fan from a stan. They say that, or like, it's really the casual fans that are like, hey, we don't deserve to be placed in this bucket. And you're right. I was one of those people. More like, I like this girl's content. She's funny. She's entertaining. Oh, this pop music. Because let's be real, it's not just that your audience is cut out for pop music. It's that you were better at pop music. But this pop music that she was creating was fun. I enjoyed it. I like one or two of Tana Mongeau's songs. Take me to Sioux Court over it. But yeah, I just thought it was funny because it's like, I've never denied that. That was my whole thing. These days, I'm like, yeah, I don't like the girl. I don't like Gabbie Hanna. But when I started, I was like, the reason I'm talking about Gabbie Hanna is because I like her and I want better for her. I don't know how many times I said in the beginning, I want to see a redemption arc. I think she's so close. I think all she needs to do is like look inside just a little bit. And like, so now for them to be like, I think about this all the time. It's like, why? Why are you wasting your brain space with that? I don't know. I'm going to refresh and see if there are any chats while I take a sip. Sip, sip. Can you guys explain what Sip Sip Girl is to me? I don't know if I'll have time to search for the answers to that in the chat, so that was kind of rhetorical. I do have some more chats to read, so let's while that updates. But I will say, the fact that Tana was willing to say what she said about like Gabbie was talking to some publication or something like that, wanting to like share the story of something that was potentially Tana's own trauma. That was way over the line. What the fuck? Maybe we can talk about that. Let's see. PJ Mura says, hello, I've been a silent fan since probably your first video. Wow. But I'm so curious. Is Moses the girl cat named after Joshua Caddison's song Jessi? No, but I'm curious as to what that means. Joshua Caddison, Jessi. I'm just going to look it up right now. Joshua, to see what it is you mean. Is there something about, the lyrics that say, like, "the girl" or something? Let me see if I can look up lyrics. So, is this a good song? I mean, I guess that's depends on who you talk to, right? Oh, I see. She asked me how the cat's been. I say, "Moses, he's just fine. Um, get your stuff together, bring Moses, and drive real fast." Oh, that's cute. I'm glad that I know about this, but no, I don't think so. Anyway, I can ask Jake. I'm pretty sure he just liked the name Moses. I think you guys have probably heard me tell the story a bunch of times of like how Moses came to be in Jake's life. But on his birthday one year, and there's also the theme that these wonderful things come into Jake's life on his birthday because our first date was on his 34th birthday. Damn, we're getting old. He was 33 when I started talking to him. Um, but one year on his birthday, Moses jumped into his truck and he said that she was super thin, emaciated, and covered in latex paint. And she wanted to be around him. And he thought it was a boy cat at first and named him Moses. But then took Moses to the vet, found out it was a girl. I was like, no, I'm not changing her name. And good on them for that because I really like that name. Doesn't matter because she's deaf. She doesn't hear anyway, and she has no concept of whether or not that's a name that she wants or not. But I just think it's a super powerful name. It's an awesome name. It's of course it's a biblical name. Biblical names can be really cool, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that she probably was living a really shitty life before him. I think she was escaping something, and so he's dedicated his experience with Moses to just making sure that she just lives the rest of her life happy. And so part of that was like she was kind of like a little bit of a chunky cat. She was just a little bit of a chunk. And he was like, I'm happy to let her be a little chunk for the rest of her life. But now that she's here and she's got all this like interaction and all this space to move around, and she's eating what the boys eat, and like girl's looking like healthy, shiny and fit and muscular, and like good for you, Moses. Anyway, you didn't ask for all that backstory, but there you go. Um, Kendall Elizabeth says, sad, I have to go practice. So many people are leaving me. Sad I have to go practice, but I'll definitely be watching it back. Just want to say I love the amazing supportive community you're creating. I love it too. Let me be honest, like no community, let's manage your expectations a little bit. Any community is not going to be perfect for everyone. It's probably not going to be perfect for anyone, but I will say that the community that has developed around my channel has like the good people continue to attract more good people. Some good people who have moved on from the community because it hasn't really fit what they need, and that's fine. But and I will be honest too, like the people that I attracted in the beginning of my channel, um, awesome people. But the more I grew comfortable with my platform, with my videos, with speaking publicly, with being on Twitter, a different side of me started to come out. And you guys started to see just a more real side of me, the side of me that gets, I don't want to say angry because I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not a very angry person, but I am somebody who gets annoyed when I see like injustices. I get annoyed and opinionated about that stuff and I express it, get it off my chest, and then I move on. Like I said, I forget within 20 minutes what I've said. And I know that a couple of people have been like, okay, well, like this kind of feels like conflict and it's not for me. And I get that. But what you see in these chats, what you see on Twitter is probably the more brash side of me and my community. It definitely is. What you see in these like live events and the live premieres, the chats there are going to be more of kind of like the median, like just like the good like representation of my my following as a whole. And then on Patreon is where you're going to see people like making really good, like strong connection, deep connections with each other. Like we have a whole club where we just cry together. That was not the purpose of it, but it's essentially what happens. And people develop these like really deep and meaningful friendships with each other. And I think that's really fucking amazing. So thank you to Kendall for saying that. I agree. I mean, I can only take so much credit for it, but I still love it. And let's see. Martin, I want to read your whole username. Martin listens, yeah. Martin IG listens, yeah. Maybe I've tried to pronounce your name before. Said, I was kind of put off by Trish saying that Tana's podcast is so much better than Frenemies and that she's never disliked Tana. Seemed disingenuous. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I was going to talk about that. I don't remember. Did she say that this podcast was so much better than Frenemies? I mean, or sorry, did they? I'm so sorry. Did they say that this podcast was so much better than Frenemies? If so, like, because I do know that there was at the beginning they even said we're gassing each other up, and I think that, of course, people are going to say this is you loving Trisha. I would say this about anyone. I would say this about Gabbie, legitimately. You got to be understanding that when people, ooh, I need to stop that. When people go on to each other's podcasts or collaborate for the first time, things like that, there might be a period where they're really just like saying the night. They're just like showering each other with compliments. And both of these people were very clear. And even Hunter, who was there, like even pointed out that like it was really just kind of a love fest where they were just like gassing each other up and saying what they loved about each other. That's not necessarily, in my opinion, disingenuous. I think, and I'm so glad you brought me back on my train of thought. Martin, I hope that's your name. Even if we disagree a little bit, I hope you appreciate you bringing this back up. But what I was saying was that that video that really kind of like tanked Trisha's relationship with Jason Nash and David Dobrik and anyone in the vlog squad. There were a couple of people who have still been nice to them. Kristen McAtee, I think, is just a gem. I think that she's just somebody who's just nice in general. She's been nice to Gabbie. It was over. That was all sparked by a situation involving Tana. That video was created because it seems like an overreaction. I don't know if it is, but I will say it sucks when somebody delineates a boundary that is very fair and that boundary is so not respected. And especially when it comes to things like relationships and sex, like people like our comfort around those things should be respected at all times. And David had this joke, and Jason went along with it a little too much, about having staging a threesome between Trisha and Tana and Jason. And then on top of that, just to add a little bit of like a mix of misogyny and ableism, is, like David making the joke that Jason likes broken girls, which is ironically a Gabbie Hanna song. But yeah, there was, David kind of had this joke that Jason had a type. And that in and of itself wouldn't have been as bad if it weren't for the fact that Jason had a history with Tana of going on a date for a vlog, which Trisha points out is only so much of a joke because that is what Trisha and Jason did. And they ended up hooking up on that date for the vlog and then ended up having a relationship. And when Jason did this with Tana prior to all that, he attempted to kiss her in a dressing room. He thought that she came into the dressing room because she wanted to hook up. And so he tried to kiss her until she was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, dude, not like that. She was 18. And so Jason must have been like 43 at the time. I'm sorry. He was definitely more than twice her age. And so like, one thing that I know that Trisha expressed a good bit, and I agreed with, even when I wasn't a Trisha fan, when I disagreed with Trisha, I agreed with this, and then Trisha was in the public favor, then people understood it, and now I don't know what people think. So forgive me if this is not what you think. But Trisha pointed out from the very beginning, and I remember we talked about this on the Girl Man's podcast. That's how I know we talked about this. Trisha talked about how these like these age gap type of, not just kind of relationships, but really just kind of like men, older men, and it happens with women too, they pointed out, but especially these situations where it happens frequently when men are waiting for girls to turn 18, or when they're somewhere between like 18 to 22 or something. That's the age range I use a lot. People talk about Leonardo DiCaprio getting older and older, but all of his girlfriends are under 25. It being kind of creepy and predatory. And people would be like, whatever, she was 18, it's legal, she's an adult, blah, blah, blah. It's legal. But Trisha would continually stand by this point that, like, yes, but I was doing these things 18, 23, etc., and not realizing that it was fucking with my head because my brain was not fully developed. And I was letting these men treat me however, and I think they said even women a couple of times, and treat me as a certain thing, and get me to do certain things that at the time I thought was okay, and now looking back realizing like these things actually traumatized me, and these things were not okay, and these things were actually creepy behavior. And so I do agree that that was creepy on Jason's part, and definitely intrusive. So for them to go back, so you're already talking about like, potentially a joke that just a partner in a relationship just wouldn't like, like some people are just not going to like you making jokes about being in a threesome. I don't think I would like it. Some people are cool with it. Some people are not. You have to respect whatever boundary, whatever that is that person does or does not is or is not okay with, because your option is always like, there's the door. You're allowed to set forth any boundaries you want. It doesn't matter if people think that that's fair or not. So from the very beginning, it was all documented in freaking David's vlogs. And Trisha said, like, from the first time, I don't like that joke. Don't make it. I'm going to take off my clothes if you don't stop making that joke. They kept making the joke. And I think it was just exacerbated by the fact that they had this history, Jason and Tana. And even when Tana said, no, I don't want to do that, Jason kept pressing the joke, or sorry, David kept pressing the joke and the concept and trying to make this happen. And Jason even played along with it at least 2 times in those towards the end of that situation. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for everyone. It was the straw that broke the camel's back for Trisha, to the point where they made that video, just like really like laying it out for everyone, and talking about Brandon Calvillo, which was another thing that I think really got them in big trouble with the Vlog Squad, which I've always been in support of their decision to out Brandon Calvillo for dating a 17-year-old, especially because that information was already on the internet. And it was disgusting behavior on his part. But to bring it back to Tana, I think that people took from that to mean that Trisha disliked Tana, and that Trisha and Tana didn't like each other. And I don't know that Trisha made it super, super clear, but they did say that this is not about Tana. Like Tana, and they even said like Tana doesn't deserve to be treated this way. Tana did not want to do these things. She said, I have a boyfriend. No, I'm not available. Like, she's already been in this situation with Jason before. No, that's creepy. That's gross. No, sorry, don't want to do it. So Trisha actually went to bat for Tana in this situation. There might have been some sort of like, I don't know if there might have been some sort of weird energy towards Tana or between them because of the situation. To some degree, I feel like if that were me, I'm trying to imagine, like, could I truly divorce my feelings? I don't know. But something else that they didn't know, I don't even think Tana and Trisha remembered this, they have been on good terms because when Tana Mongeau and Jake Paul got quote unquote married, for my listening listeners, for my listening audience members, quote unquote, when Tana and Jake got married, they invited Trisha Paytas. And their whole thing with when they were inviting people is that they did personal, like they delivered wedding invitations. So Trisha was in those videos that Tana and Jake put out. And I think that Trisha's admitted that like being on other people's channels and TV shows and stuff like that, they think that they have to like put on an act and be this like dramatic person and stuff like that. I will say, not a likable person in the way that they present themselves on Reality House, on Celebrity Big Brother, in these videos of Jake Paul's. Like, I think this act that they feel that they need to put on makes them a less likable person than they actually are, than like the good side we saw of Trisha on Frenemies. But even then, if I recall correctly, and maybe somebody here can either back me up or correct me, but if I'm not mistaken, Trisha was a little bit like cutting with Jake Paul over something that he had done or said when they were delivering the wedding invitation. But Trisha didn't express any sort of like disdain for Trisha or for Tana in that situation. They had to have been decent enough friends for them to invite Trisha to the wedding and to go to their house personally to deliver the wedding invitation. So I kind of disagree with this concept that, of course, like everybody's not going to know that this happened or remember that these things happened. Like I said, they don't even seem to remember that this happened because Trisha said the last time I saw you was when you came over to David's and I was pretending to be asleep on the beanbag. And that's not the case. The next time after that was the wedding invitation thing. But I think that there is a misconception that because the situation with Tana is what broke the camel's back with Trisha, that Trisha doesn't like Tana. If there's something else there that I don't know about, I will stand corrected. I am okay with standing corrected. At this point, I would love for you guys to give me reasons to stand corrected on any opinions I have about Trisha Paytas, because I really am, I do want to be fair. But I saw that and I was like, I don't, what other people are seeing is not what I'm seeing. And we all retain different information and we've all consumed different information. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. I'm just checking my phone real quick to make sure that I'm good. Looks like I'm good with my producers. This is my way of being able to, because you guys saw how before I would be like on Discord and I'd be like, oh God, do I have like notifications? And if I have notifications, that means I'm in trouble. And then I would have to like switch over to a different program and be like, hold on guys while I do this. And then like, oh, I need to refresh my super chats. And like, things are just so much more streamlined. I'm so happy. Got a couple more super chats. Let's go there. Grace T says, I'll have to, another person leaving me. Grace T says, I'll have to watch the playback, but I wanted you to know you're appreciated and always make me think about things in a new way. Thank you, Grace. That's so super sweet. It makes me really happy when you guys say that I have any sort of impact on your lives, of course, for the better. And if I have an impact on your life for the worse, then I take that seriously too. Please trust. Even those people, there are people out there who do not like me and who are very vocal about it. And I'm not going to air anybody out, but I will let you know that there are some people that I'm never going to be able to kind of make things right with because we just can't speak. But I know that I've handled things improperly or imperfect. I don't want to say imperfectly because like Logan from Observe has pointed out, that's a cop out when people say that. But I could have handled things better. And I've been trying to work on some of those with talking to those people who are willing to talk to me about this stuff. If you're not willing to hear me out, and then either I fucked up so majorly that I don't deserve your time, or you're just not somebody who wants to allow things to be made right. Either way, I've got to let that go. But that's a tangent. But if I have impacted your life in any way positive, then thank you for letting me know. That makes me so happy, and it reinforces why I want to be here. So thank you for that before getting too sappy. Dr. Thembo, hello, patron, says, did you hear about David Dobrik getting roasted by Mark Riboulet at Lollapalooza? LOL, no. Is that something I need to look up? Let me see if that's something I can look up quickly. Mark, who is that? Mark Riboulet? David Dobrik. Mark Riboulet. I don't know that I'm spelling that right. Lollapalooza. Let's see. David Dobrik rejected just that he was rejected to his party. Was there like a quote or something? It looks like it's something that was discussed on the H3 podcast. So I will probably catch up on that, and maybe I'll be able to give you my opinions either in the next one or on Twitter. So sorry, I got a note from the producer. Mark Riboulet is the most amazing, energetic DJ and the perfect alarm clock. Okay, Amber, you deserve to give your commentary on these. Cecilia says, love the hair clips. Thank you. I don't wear them because I don't know that, like, it's the style for me. Like, I think it's cute on Jessi. But believe it or not, the reason I posted a picture of all these hair clips because when I cut my hair last year, it wasn't because I wanted to. It's because I bleached my hair and ended up frying it so much that I had to cut it. And I remember like crying about it, and I still miss my hair. But I remember Ashley being like, you're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. What I would recommend is getting some fun headbands and some fun hair clips, and really just like finding cute ways to do your hair that you can be excited about it and feel pretty. The only problem is I just don't feel pretty in a hair clip. That sucks. But it is functional. So there's that. Thank you for the compliment. And Moonchild has given us a good vibes break. And I love Moonchild. I love that you use the little chick coming out of the egg, because I don't know if even my patrons have picked up on this. That is an emoji that I use to acknowledge that, like, I've seen this, I approve of this or whatever. And the reason is because a lot of my patrons refer to me as Nugget or Little Nug, and there's not a Nugget emoji. But you guys know my best friend Christina back in DC. She would refer to me often as Little Bird. And I had a friend before that. She's still my friend, but we just don't see each other anymore. But we used to work together, and she would refer to me as Chicken. And I don't know why people have this tendency to want to compare me to small birds or bird products. But that's why. That was like the most fitting emoji that I could find to describe me. Petition to add a nugget emoji. You know, I could probably add it to my custom emojis, and I definitely have one that I need to add for Patreon, because we did have a patron who had to leave for now, but before leaving, she just for free, she made us a bunch of custom emojis that I need to upload, and one of them is Water Gang, and one of them is I'll describe it for you. It looks like a little nugget, and she's got eyelashes and a choker. And she's kind of a reddish color, so you can tell she's spicy. Let me see. I think that's okay. Those are those for now. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are, though, on the kind of switching gears and going back to like clips for Jessi, because I don't know if maybe just my focus is because it's like the same thing with the Tana podcast. I don't know if it's my focus, but I've gotten to the point where like I'll put these videos on, and I'm just like, I'll pay attention. I'll absorb like half of it. It could be a focus thing, but part of me is thinking that it's just like I'm sick of it. I think I'm at the point where anything that Gabbie presents as like damning information against Alex James or JessiSmiles, at this point, every single thing that she claims, I'm just like, okay, but there's going to be an explanation that somebody's going to come out with. Anyway, I know this is what happens. It's going back and forth. Is that every claim that Gabbie Hanna makes that she did it with Escape the Night, the only like outing or like person that she's talked about and made claims against was Rice Gum, where people haven't really changed their minds because nobody really did change their minds, and people pretty much unanimously agreed that Rice Gum is a piece of shit. Wherever they lie on the like whose fault that situation was, I think everybody agreed that like he shouldn't have done that. He's a scumbag. That was shitty. But like claims against Rachel Oates, claims against all those people that she went on those tirades against, claims against drama channels, Angelica Oles in particular, claims about the family of the teenager I'm not going to name, claims against Alex James, claims against JessiSmiles, claims against Joey Graceffa and Daniel Prada. All of these people, there's probably more. Trisha Paytas too, to some degree. Gabbie will make a claim, and if it makes you go, oh, the next day an explanation comes out. Somebody comes out with a video that's like, well, actually, everything that Gabbie said was demonstrably wrong, and here I'm going to show you the actual proof. Because we know that Gabbie's good at like showing. One thing that somebody pointed out was that when she was talking about Daniel Prada, she showed like the irony is that she says that I crop screenshots to be misleading when she and I were dealing with each other, but she was actually cropping these screenshots and showing them out of order to make Daniel look worse, when in actuality Daniel and Joey both sat down and told the story, and their stories were very consistent with each other, very well backed up, and then other people who were on these casts also backed up what they were saying. So at this point, like when Gabbie talks, it's like the screaming into the camera needs to stop. It's triggering to so many people. It's not making your point any stronger. It's just making you look like more of an asshole, Gabbie. But everything that she says, like she's claiming that Jessi has done this creepy thing because of a video that she made. I know that there's an explanation. I know that it's come up. There's one thing I wanted to point out though. Girl. I mean, I've kind of told you guys this, and I might make a video about this. I don't know. It depends on how much meat there is to it. But Gabbie claiming that she doesn't talk about Jessi, but Jessi constantly talks about her. I think that was something that she said in one of these recent videos. And I remember thinking, well, that's just not true. Just in having met both of you in some capacity, right? Gabbie and I got into this whole, let's talk about my interactions with Gabbie for a second. Gabbie and I, as you may know, got into sort of this, it wasn't an argument, but just kind of these, like, I call them rapid fire exchanges on Twitter in response to me responding to a tweet where I said everything, I don't agree with everything she says, so I'm hateful. And then that was when Gabbie was like going through what she called the mental breakdown, and started responding to a lot of my tweets. Like, why are you saying this about me? Nobody said this about you, blah, 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 blah. And then I was responding very quickly to her. And then we decided to move that to DMs because we were going all over the place in all these threads. And then that was going so fast that we both agreed to get on the phone. So just keep that in mind when you hear Gabbie say, and not that she talks about it anymore, but I'm finding these things out because I'm hearing clips and reading tweets from back then that I didn't have the gall to, or the spine to read and listen to at the time. And realizing that Gabbie was telling her audience that she listened to me to be nice, that I was so upset, and that she gave me her phone number to talk to me through it and be there to support me. When in actuality, as soon as we got on the phone, she started breaking down, crying, talking about these people who had been abusing her. And that I did talk about in my video. So thankfully, I backed that up well before I even knew these things that she was saying about me. But I don't remember how in detail I got in my video, but I remember noting to people that, like, as soon as I got on the phone with Gabbie Hanna, it was supposed to be about these conversations between me and her and this mutual friend that we had, that I think was kind of like, that mutual friendship was like making things kind of like, I called it messy. And she like we got on the phone and she was like, "Hey, it's Gabbie." And I was like, "Hey, I know." And then out of nowhere, she just starts like going on and on about like, "You don't know what they've been doing to me for the past 6 years," and blah 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 blah. And then said that they wanted to find me in an alleyway or hallway and knock me out, knock my teeth out. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like what? Huh? Like who is she talking? What is she talking about? And so, like, the first 10 minutes of that conversation, ish, probably, was just Gabbie Hanna crying to me and trauma dumping on me about JessiSmiles and these high school bullies. So let's make that clear. You guys also may know that earlier in the summer, maybe it was late spring, around, late spring, early summer, when I moved here, I hung out with Jessi at the pool nearby at the beach. For a few hours, probably like 3 hours or so, and nobody mentioned Gabbie at least for like an hour until I asked a question about something that had happened recently. Jessi did not mention Gabbie. So just the irony of like Gabbie claiming like Jessi talks about me to everyone and I don't ever talk about her is actually like 100% a projection. And it shows, like it shows on YouTube, because like who's talking about whom constantly? You tell me that. I mean, I may or may not be an MIT, but what do I know? So, so that was something that I noticed that I wanted to point out, and I'm glad that I remembered to. So I'm pulling up my master doc right now to see if I'm missing anything. Because I do want to see if I can get to some of these emails and tweets if we have time. Okay. And it looks like Tiffany, 1312, just made a donation. Just straight up made a donation. Thank you for that. That's so sweet of you. I always really appreciate the people who are just like, here's a donation. I don't need you to read anything. Not that I mind those of you who have a comment to have read, but I just think that there's something altruistic about that. I wanted to read a couple of emails. Now, just to be clear, these are old, so these aren't necessarily all emails that have come in recently, for this episode specifically, but they're conversations we've been having. And thank you to producer Amber for kind of either, wrapping up some of these emails in a nutshell, or extracting information from them. I will say that this email I saw come through after I asked for emails for this episode. So this is a comment or an email from Cassie, our Cassie. If you know, you know, our Cassie, our little Cassie. I just think it's funny because I caught a glimpse of this email and I was like, wow, that's an insight that I hadn't thought of. And you are 12 years old and you are so smart. If you don't know the backstory, Cassie used to be a really big Gabbie Hanna fan. I got to talking to her in my comments, realized that I was talking to a child, and encouraged that child to select different language. And then that child started watching my videos and then started to call out behavior in Gabbie Hanna that she did not agree with. And it's funny, I say this because Cassie, I brought that, I've spoken of her anonymously before, and then she'll just say in the chat, she's like, I was that jackass kid. But the topic is Gabbie Hanna will never accept apologies. So something that Cassie pointed out was, after watching Repsion's The Gabbie Hanna Files episode 1, she came to the conclusion that Gabbie will only accept an apology when she's certain that they won't do it again. Example, her discussions with Oscar and wanting NDAs from Jessi and Patreon supporters. So that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought of that, where it's kind of like, well, for one, I think a lot of people have noticed that Gabbie is just like demanding apologies left and right in a way that one channel, Honest Conversation, I keep forgetting the name. It's a long channel name. But kind of people pointing out that like Gabbie Hanna is very firmly demanding these very specific apologies that, like, what are they going to mean? If you say, I need you to publicly apologize and say that you were, I mean, that would probably mean a lot to Gabbie because what's public is public and that's all that matters. But um, she is very firm about like, Oscar, like, you need to, it's not even like some people are like, you hurt my feelings. Can you apologize for that? It's like, no, you need to take back everything about what you said and did. You need to agree with me that you didn't mean it. And also like, or like with the NDAs, you need to agree that we're never going to talk about this again. And the fact that you need people never to talk about it again tells me that maybe there's something you did wrong. But that's just me. I'm just an MIT. Somebody else wanted to bring up the topic that Gabbie Hanna is oblivious and hateful. This is from MJ. It says, MJ, it's so hard for me to understand why Gabbie would continue to lie and harass Jessi and others. How can someone be so oblivious and hateful? I used to be a big fan of her music, and it really spoke to me as someone who struggles with feeling like a monster and a burden on my loved ones. But this isn't it. I mean, agreed. I think a lot of people have that wonder. I think good people in general, and that's not to say Gabbie's not a good person. I think that there is a part of her that wondered, am I the monster? And then she stopped it there. Because it's too difficult, I think, for some people. And I do think that for some diagnoses, I've heard it's a sense of self-annihilation to take it further than that. But, as an example, a person can, look, I can be hard-headed when it comes to criticism. If I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it. But if I start hearing like a person here, a person here, a person here, a person here, all saying the same thing, giving me the same criticism, I go, okay, I might just be wrong about this. And then consider that and then be like, okay, this is embarrassing. This sucks. This doesn't feel good. But the next right thing to do is to address it, to be humble about addressing it, and to be genuine in addressing it. And that's really like the only way to make it go away, even though like that shouldn't be your primary reason for addressing something. But like everybody wants it to go away in a sense, people want you to address things so that that sense of cognitive dissonance about you, or just that hurt about something that you said or did, they want that to go away. And then the person who has committed that act doesn't want to have that reputation stuck to them if they're in any way a decent person. And so in a sense, we do all kind of want it to go away. And so I think most of us who do have those moments where we're like, I don't have any friends, or like people leave me, like, what am I doing? I'm doing something. I think most of us take the time to follow that up and consider that. Hopefully you don't take that so much to heart that it just becomes like I've talked about that whole mindset that like either I can do no wrong, or I'm the shittiest person on the face of the earth and I can do no right. Neither of those is healthy, but it is, I think, healthy to be like, okay, what am I doing here? Because there's a pattern. I'm noticing anytime you notice a pattern of behavior in yourself and others, that's when it's time to pay attention to something. And I think that Gabbie went so far as to notice that pattern and then stop there and was like, nope, I wrote a song about it. I'm done with it. It went away, basically, is what happened. She made her tragedy a work of art, and then it went away and she didn't have to address it any further. But you, MJ, sounds like you continue to explore that and introspect. And I think that whatever the fuck she decides to do, good on you for deciding to continue following that train of thought. And I encourage you to continue doing it because it sounds like you're a decent person. Somebody named Kimpo wanted to talk about Gabbie Hanna argues in bad faith. This is regarding classifying Gabbie's approach to arguments. It's bad faith, pretending to work towards a fair and reasonable resolution with no intent of doing so, rooted in dishonesty and therefore on brand. As you've said, Gabbie probably understands the points people are trying to make, but responds based on immaterial technicalities and misinterpretations. Thank you. It sounds like this person came to that conclusion, and then my producer was like, you've come to this conclusion too. And it's true. It's, I don't know if I would call it bad faith. Maybe it is. Surely sometimes it is. But it's not the The desire to work things out is a good thing. To say, hey, Jessi, let's have this conversation. Let's sort this out. Even if they have to have mediators, that's fine. But be willing to be honest about both sides contributing. And one thing I hate about that conversation too is that we have to pretend in any of these conversations that both parties are equally responsible for the hurt that happened. No. Sometimes considering both parties' responsibility means 10% here and 90% here. Sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 60-40, and sometimes it's 100-0. But it is about being real about what you've done, your responsibility in it. And you really have to, like, if you're getting so granular, is that you're arguing technicalities, and that's why you're going to go round and round for 3 hours and then end up having to hang up and feel like nothing was resolved, is because you go round and round in circles about verbatim and technicalities. You're not talking about what actually I did. Perhaps if you could step back and talk about the forest, step away from the trees a little bit. Gabbie's not going to do this because then she'd have to admit that she's just done wrong. And said, like, you know what? I hurt you by being too close to Curtis. I also lied about how close I was to him. I lied about how I supported him, and I can see why that hurt you. You forgave me, and then I went back on those apologies by acting this way in the public and denying the fact that I did that. That was cowardly of me because I didn't want to be known as somebody who supported a rapist. Apologies for not giving that trigger warning on that. But I think that is what we would love to hear from Gabbie Hanna. I'm sure that to some degree, Jessi would love to hear that from Gabbie Hanna. But she's displayed for us that she's not going to do that. So you're just going to keep going round and round in circles with every single person. And guess what? Every single time you have a conversation, there are more arguments to be had about the technicalities of that conversation. And so until Gabbie Hanna decides to make a radical change in how she approaches conflict, this is just going to keep happening. And that's why I'm getting sick of these episodes and not absorbing anything anymore. Because I'm like, okay, we're just going to keep going round and round in circles, talking technicalities. Technically, Alex James did this on this date. Technically, like, that's a really good example and something that I did want to talk about. Like, Alex James was friends with Curtis Lepore. Everybody agrees, Alex included. That was not good. That was not smart of him. It was not good of him. And it's something he feels bad about. Gabbie went back and wanted to, like, poke holes in his arguments by saying, like, here are some dates here that he said this, and then Jessi said this, and then he said this, to say that everybody's a liar. But at the end of the day, whether he lived with Curtis during these days or those days or was friends with him here or there, right now, Alex is not friends with Curtis Lepore. Alex has apologized numerous times for being friends with Curtis Lepore, for spending time with Curtis Lepore and supporting him in any way and being inconsiderate of Jessi as a friend. And I can say, just from observation of knowing these situations, I don't think that Jessi has really, like, I think she is selfless to a fault, perhaps, and maybe has not really thought to stand in, like, what she deserves. And I hope that it's okay that I say this. Jessi, I don't know if you watch these, if you are going to watch this, I hope that it's okay for me to say this about you. I think that Jessi is selfless to a point where she doesn't say, like, hey, I don't have to accept this. And perhaps at the time, she very well could have said, Alex, I'm not comfortable with you being friends and being neutral. And I've said this to friends, and I'll say this to you guys. A friend to all is a friend to none. So, there are times where I let it go, where people are like, I'm going to be neutral between you two. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then secretly I'm hurt. But other times I'll be like, no, like, you've aligned with this person that hurt me. So that hurts me. By proxy, you're hurting me. And so I'm not okay with this. And like I said, I'm not great at doing that all the time. And I don't think that Jessi was great at doing that all the time. And I think Jessi's recognized that she wasn't great at doing that all the time. But the point is that right now, today, as it stands, Alex James is a good friend who recognizes what he did wrong and has apologized and atoned for that, and has never forgotten that he did those things and is sorry for them, and has never tried to backpedal, and has never tried to pretend these things didn't happen, despite like any discrepancies that Gabbie like poorly. I don't know how well she pointed those things out. She lost me. It was just all these details and technicalities being flown everywhere. But again, it's just the sentiment. It's the sentiment that's important, and the sentiment that Alex has expressed that Gabbie hasn't. And that's all that matters. And she's missing that. She tried to make that point after Jessi made her point that, like, this is the difference between you and Alex. God. Let me check my super chats tab just in case. Okay, yeah, because I see a few. Devin says, I love you. I love you, G. I love you, girl. I love you too. Thank you for that. Thank you for the donation. And Audie says, just because I love you, heart, I love you too. Audie's the best. So is Devin. Whitney says, I want to be involved in this chat, but my 3-year-old has me continually pausing because he doesn't seem to care about the drama. Rude. Oddly enough. Love you. Love you too. That's funny. CJ Willis says, I'm on the second leg of a drive from my home from Colorado to Florida. Oof. Currently in Georgia getting food. Hey, neighbor. Thank you for entertaining me on the road. Where are you? Maybe you're in Savannah. No, probably not. You'd probably be going through maybe Atlanta down to who knows. You could be going to Panhandle. I don't need to try to figure out where you are, CJ. That's your business, not mine. Just double checking super stickers. Those aren't frequent, but so there were a couple more emails I wanted to get to. Yeah, we have time to get to the last few. Thank you so much, Amber, for kind of condensing these for me, making it a lot more palatable for me to actually get to these emails. This was regarding Gabbie's wellness check. And the question is, are we mad at the behavior or the person? And this is from Kane. Kane, love you. We all love you. It says, counterpoint regarding ethics of wellness checks. It's not a good look to mock concern for your well-being, but they see no issue in Gabbie's response to the check itself. Are we mad at the behavior or the person? May have also, the truncation of this might make me a little confused, but may have also been less than gracious undergoing a check, especially from a bad headspace to start. Would most of us really think people are concerned and that we should reflect need, but have the sense not to tweet about it? Checks can be necessary, but would have impacted them negatively and led them to isolating further. I'm not entirely sure, because I'm sure that it was like a kind of a complicated email that was difficult to condense, because even still it's condensed to like one of the longer bits here. But it sounds to me like Kane is like proposing like various different facets of like, I talked about Gabbie Hanna kind of not taking this seriously, not taking it seriously that there was a wellness check sent on her. I think what Kane is saying is that there's a lot of danger in wellness checks, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps. And so it's possible that, first of all, if the person is not in a good enough headspace to say like, oh yes, you're checking on me because there is reason to be concerned, and so this is something for me to take seriously, maybe it's easier to just mock it and just laugh at it. So am I mad at the behavior or the person? Both. Is Kane would have responded similarly to Gabbie is what he's saying. The difference between Kane and Gabbie is like Gabbie has a big platform, and further, I would argue, I would really hope that if you were in a space where you were saying, people don't care about me, people just want to laugh at me, people don't care about me, and then people say, hey, we're concerned about you, we're concerned about you, we're concerned about you, and then you express, and it's not just the weird TikToks, it's not just so-and-so's acting different. It was overtly stating the S word, I want to unalive. It was stating that a few times. And then when somebody does take action on that, whether that action was ideal or even good or not, the point is that it very likely came from a place of concern, whether that person who called it liked you or not. And I'm sorry, I've already made a whole video and or BAP about this. So the video is coming tomorrow, hopefully, if I can get everything edited. Ugh. But it is very irresponsible. I'm sorry, whether we would behave the same way or not. It is highly irresponsible, and further to do so after being like, nobody cares. You guys wouldn't care if I weren't here tomorrow. It's like, well, here, what else can we do to show you that we do care other than just like singing your praises and saying that everything you do is perfect? And I think that's what she needs. And I don't think you're that way, frankly, Kane. Like I do see the point that like if you're not in the right headspace, then you're not gonna you're not gonna handle it the way people want you to. I get that point. I see that. So this is let me see. Do we have time for this? I want to make sure. 7:51. Let me read a couple of other things and then I might address this last one. So what is this one? This topic is Warby Parker lied. It's from Anonymous. Somebody said, emailed a few of Gabbie's sponsors last summer about her attacks on Jen and Jessi, and Warby Parker, with receipts, said that they would pull their sponsorship, but were still sponsoring Gabbie as of at least March this year. Cancel Warby. Lying. Ooh. How? That is so falsifiable. What the fuck, Warby? Cassie, I don't know if this is our same Cassie. I've got a few Cassies that talk to me. Oh no, this is our Cassie. So the topic is gassy. There you go. There's a new one, you guys. Gassy Hanna. Gabbie sounds immature. A child can acknowledge. Oh, this just the whole summary is a child can acknowledge that Gabbie's usage of dumb fucking cunt just makes her sound immature. I agree. I agree that Cassie is more mature than somebody who is almost 3 times her age. This one says, lighthearted, dingo and ocelot kittens, Zachary Carroll. The email says, or the summary says, we'll always be here for the content and the bomb-ass looks, mama, and wants 10 minutes of pet talk. We've got like 10 minutes left, so maybe not. But I did give you some Moses talk. I gave you a little bit of Oliver talk, and we're always going to have some pet talk here and there. But I wanted to talk about this really quick because it is something that I don't know when the right time is going to be to talk to you guys about it, and I'm going to be vague about it until I have answers. But when I keep having migraines and things like this, like it makes me want to talk to you guys. So this topic is Gabbie's impact on the mental health and neurodivergent or neurodiversity communities by Dracula's Scapula. They said essentially they've been wondering if they themselves are neurodivergent, not to take on labels, but to make them unique, but to explain the way they think and act. ADHD seems to be the most likely answer, but Gabbie has described it so inaccurately that they worry that they'll be wasting the psychiatrist's time. Also, I need to check Twitter DMs for a fan art. So I think what I want to address here is that what we're seeing out of these conversations, there's definitely a very unfortunate thing happening with Gabbie Hanna. Before it was how she was reflecting the mental health community, and now this has become very much a conversation about neurodiversity and how she is reflecting on that community and specifically those with ADHD. And I get countless comments and emails and DMs from people saying like, I have ADHD and I'm nothing like this. I'm not at all mean like this. And I'm so upset by how Gabbie is representing my community and people like me, because I don't want people to think that this is what I'm like. It's not fair. And it's not fair. And that sucks. And my opinion on that is not going to change. We had a similar conversation about Jimmy Snow, although I do want to stay away from talking about that too much because the way I addressed that didn't was not well received by a portion of my audience, and I do apologize to them for. I'm going to learn how to better communicate these things. But the point is that we have seen some people, and people have done this with mental health since the beginning of mental health. I was going to say beginning of time, but we didn't know about mental health forever. But people have said, like, it's my this diagnosis, it's my that diagnosis. Oh, the reason I lashed out is because of my trauma, is because of my PTSD. You can't get mad at me. I was triggered. My PTSD was triggered. You still have to own up. You still have to own up to your bad behavior, always. I can have some mercy for people who have a history of owning up to their shit after they have acted out. And maybe we'll talk about Trisha Paytas another day a little bit more, and why I tend to go easy on them, it seems. But I will say that we were talking about Trisha and Tana. I will say that with them, they fuck up. They fuck up a lot. But I do notice people like them tending to recognize that they are the fuck ups in the situation far more often than anybody like Gabbie, Hanna, or, for what it's worth, Jimmy Snow. I see so much pride in people like Gabbie and Jimmy, and them hiding behind these diagnoses, and that being dangerous because it excuses certain behavior, and it reflects poorly on people who live and behave by a certain code of morals or ethics, and don't believe that these diagnoses determine those codes of morals and ethics and behaviors. Of course, people always say, like, it can be an explanation, but not an excuse. And I don't know that we expand upon that enough. It can, these behavior, the mental health and neurodivergence can explain the triggers for certain feelings that result in behaviors. But telling people to fuck off, calling people a bitch, throwing a fit and calling somebody a dumb fucking cunt over things like people giving you valid criticism, people telling you your call time has changed by 10 minutes, etc. That's asshole behavior across the board. You're not going to change my mind. Perhaps there was something, oh, I keep hitting this, I'm so sorry. Perhaps there was something about your neurological makeup or your mental or your psychological makeup that might, like I said, trigger the feelings that prompt that behavior. But you've got to own the behavior. You've got to own how you react to those feelings and how you handle those feelings, especially on a big platform in front of a lot of people. And so I just gave you my whole spiel about that. But so that's, of course, like, the bad that's come out of it is that people have felt hurt by these representations of these communities. The good thing that is coming out of this, I believe, is that we're having these conversations. We've been having some conversations around mental health. Now, specifically, we're turning the conversation towards neurodiversity. And I do think that it's important because I think more people are starting to look at themselves and wonder if they relate to some of these things, and not relating to the asshole behavior, but being like, okay, what is ADHD about? Like, what actually does that entail? What are the traits that actually are attributed to this diagnosis? And, oh, like, that sounds like something that I deal with. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but in having these conversations, I have done research to look into these things and see, like, what is it that I'm not, perhaps that I got wrong about this, or maybe I just need to educate myself more. And more of this education has had me starting to relate to some things that I'm reading, like on a level that makes me, like, realize, how is it that I've gone 35 years and not realized that there are these communities out there that I so closely related to, and I never knew. I always thought that these were just these, like, little idiosyncrasies of mine that annoy people, that make me difficult, or that just make it difficult for me to live with myself because I have migraines every fucking day, or, headaches 2 out of 3 days or 3 out of 4 days, because I'm a picky eater, because I have anxiety all the time, because I have what I think is depression, but is some form of me, just being like having no energy to get up or do anything. And I will give myself enough grace to say that a lot of these things either came up or became exacerbated after my brother's death. And I'm learning some things too about grief affecting these things. That's all to say, sorry, I'm totally making this about me. Hello, welcome to my channel. This is about me, but I'm being facetious. But that's all to say that I think a lot of us are starting to explore these things in ourselves, and hopefully, it looks like more people are going to get assessments, evaluations, and diagnoses around these things, and it's probably going to help us a lot. So I don't want to say like, thank you, Gabbie, for your shit behavior, but thank you to the community for having these discussions around these topics, because it is leading people to find answers about themselves. And I myself might find some answers for some things that I struggle with, that people don't necessarily know on the outside of looking at me. Because again, I've said this before, like on the outside and from an overarching perspective, I seem fine, like I, for lack of better words, like very common, very average, very typical, or whatever you want to say. But when you look at, like I say, I refer to it as like the details of me, is when you start to see that like I have a lot of trouble with certain things, or I'm really good at other things that I didn't realize was not super common to be really good at. I didn't know that. And so it's a period of self-discovery for a lot of people. And so, what I would say to you, Dracula Scapula, is that I fully intend. I talk to my psychiatrist probably in the next week or so, and my intention is to talk to her about what I think I may be relating to, and asking for a referral, because I imagine that this is something I'm going to have to talk to a neurologist about. But I'm going to talk to her about whatever she would recommend I do, with this information and these questions that I have, on top of the fact that I have all these headaches and I need answers for that and I need help with that. I I think that if there's anybody that you need to not worry about wasting their time, it is, I was going to say psychiatrists, but really any sort of medical professionals, any clinicians. You're not wasting your therapist's time by talking about the things that matter to you. You're not wasting your psychiatrist's time by saying, hey, I may or may not be neurodivergent. I may or may not relate to the traits of ADHD. Can you help me figure out if this is something that I have? Or even just like your primary care physician or anything like that, any medical professional. Of course, if you're going to the wrong professional, like if you go to your general practitioner when you need to be talking to a psychiatrist, they'll refer you. But this is one of those cases where like there's no such thing as a stupid question. Like you need to ask those questions, and like trust me, they get paid. They get paid pretty pennies to answer these questions for you, or to help guide you in the direction of those people who can help you, the professionals that can help you. Was I overstepping my boundaries by talking about that? I don't think so. Those who are professionals, let me know if I am or not. But I really hope that you don't hesitate to ask those questions. And anybody else in the audience, I'm sure a bunch of you have been like, oh God, since all this stuff has come up, I'm wondering if I have dyslexia or ADHD or autism or something, in the mental health realm. Am I part of this cluster? Do I have anxiety? Do I have depression? Do I have BPD? Do I have personality disorder? Like all of these things are totally valid for you to wonder. Look into them, research them. If you have access to a medical professional who can help guide you in the direction of answers, seek those answers. Doesn't matter how stupid you feel. Seek those answers, because we need them. If I can get answers even as to why I get these headaches, that's going to help my life just a little bit more, even if I just know. So I love that one of my professionals spoke up. The most important part of ending stigmas is having honest conversations. Yes. Thank you. I don't think that we need to shy away from these conversations at all. And if we don't need to shy away from them with each other, then of course we don't need to shy away from them with our clinicians. Like that's what they're there for, to help us with. I think I have one more super chat. Kat says, for some people, it's hard to say, I was scared, I'm wrong, you're right, I'm sorry. It's is being vulnerable. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's being vulnerable. And it's something that it's really easy for me, from my perspective and my, my capabilities and my downfalls and all of that, for me to be like, hey guys, it's not that hard. And if you relate to me, then it might not be that hard. And I've said this a million times. It is hard in a sense. It's not impossible. And I don't know what it feels like to have any sort of maybe like personality disorder or whatever condition that might make taking accountability feel like self-annihilation. I just know that punch in the gut feeling I get from being criticized. That is something that I can withstand, that I'm resilient enough to take and to work through. And then not every time. I'm not saying like I'm such a good example of this. I'm just saying I can do it. Even if I don't do it, I can do it. But yeah, some people call it being vulnerable. Some people call it being humble. Some people call it being self-aware. Whatever it is, it's just recognizing, dude, that we're not perfect. And like, what is perfect even? We're sharing the world with 7 billion other people. We're going to hurt people sometimes. And especially being the imperfect people we're being, we as imperfect people are going to hurt other imperfect people. And we all want everybody else to take responsibility for how they're hurting us and how they've affected us. We all want that from somebody. But how much do we want to be that person that has to take accountability? Surely none of us really wants to do that. It's not fun. But if you're willing to go there, if you're willing to do it, it's so much more productive than fighting the fight, than whatever this shit that Gabbie Hanna's doing. I could do that. I could every single day get on camera and talk about whoever I'm fighting with on Twitter that day and how I'm right and they're wrong and I'm right and they're wrong. And we can go back and forth and back and forth. But really what I'm noticing is the only thing that's going to fix it is if I talk to that person and I do my damnedest to figure out where I could have done better. At least that's what I'm working on. I don't have any tips for you on how to perfect it because I'm exploring how to even do it. So, and everybody can. I would urge you to, we talk a lot about how like you deserve this and you don't deserve that, but this is a moment where I'm going to be like, I urge you guys to like try to be that other person for a moment. Like, how can I do better? Sorry to end that on like admonishing you guys. I don't think I did. But Amber, you did not do a bad job condensing that one, and it just was surely a complicated email and one that was, like I said, super, probably a long one and multifaceted. Sorry, I'm reading something that came out of Discord. Is it something that I need to deal with, you guys? Comments about being booed. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay. That seems like some housekeeping stuff. Moonchild says, heart to those struggling with asking for help. It's not easy. Moonchild is just a little bucket of goodness. Thank you for that. And yes, do extend some grace and kindness to yourself and to others. Even, I'm going to say this one time. It's going to be hard. Even if you got a Gabbie Hanna in your life, try to extend a little bit of mercy today and just be like, it's really not easy. It's really not easy to do these things. And sometimes we need to if we have to be the first person to do it, it's not about being a bigger person. It's about just being the first person to show that these things are possible. And sometimes those people will come around and do that. But at the same time, if you've done wrong and you've got something to apologize for, does not matter if that person also has something to apologize for. You should not be behaving in this way, in such a way that is good, by apologizing or rectifying or acknowledging, only to get a response out of that person, only to get a forgiveness, or only to get require forgiveness, or only to get a reciprocal apology. If you're doing that, it's bullshit. It's not a real apology. But I do urge you to, if you can, you don't have to take on the weight of the world, but you can recognize that, like, maybe I could have done this better. That's where I'm starting right now. Is maybe I could have done this better. I think it's a place to start. Palatable for me anyway. Moonchild, more like cool child. Agreed. How much did you guys enjoy looking at my non-jeweled belly? I'm so sorry for those of you that it might have bothered. I hated it. Never ending story. All right. I think that is it with emails and super chats. Thank you so much to Leaf and Amber for helping me get this organized. I have never been able to get through super chats and emails, and I was able to get through a backlog of emails. So thank you so much. Let me double check, guys. I think we're good. Okay. Yep. I gotta take a moment to ask you guys that. Oh, wait. I see Devin's little face. I want to thank Leaf and Amber for all their hard work and let them both know I'm excited for them. Add this to the pizza party fund. Can we have like a Google Hangout where we all order our favorite pizza? That would be so much fun. We should have a meeting, like a production meeting. And Devin helped to pay for some of it. Thank you, Devin. And thank you to Leaf and to Amber. And they're going to remind me that I gotta do the things. So if you enjoyed anything about this podcast, if you could please give it a like. If you're on YouTube, if you're on one of the other platforms, if you could give it some form of approval. I don't know what those are. If that's like giving it a heart or a star, or I don't know what they are. But if you could give this video, this podcast, or whatever you're listening to, a like, that is so appreciated. It helps me a ton. If you think that you might want to come back and listen to or watch another one of these, or to see one of my videos, if you're on YouTube, I have a video coming tomorrow night if I can get everything done. Please subscribe. That also helps me a ton. I'm trying to get to 50K. I'm not too far from it. Otherwise, like I said, you can follow me on social, where I don't post every single outfit, but I do the ones that I really like. And especially if I have time to take a cute picture, I will keep you posted there too. If and when I do open a Depop, so that you guys can take these outfits off my hands. And also, if you are considering joining my Patreon, it is $5 a month. I mean, there is a $1 option, because some people were like, hey, I don't want to do the whole thing, but I want to support you. Like, can you make a $1 option? So there's that. But otherwise, the other option is $5. We are making a ton of changes. We're improving the Patreon based on feedback from the people who are there, as well as people who are leaving and have left. So we do listen to everything that everyone has to say, and we're continually improving the place, and it's going to continue to undergo a lot of change, and it's a lot of fun and exciting change. So I would encourage you to join. We have some really cool clubs where people get really close to some really amazing people, and just, it's really awesome. I'm thinking about Omni Club, but also we had a Harry Potter book club. Like, this stuff is really great. Depending on who you are, there's a different place, a pocket for you, and people there for you who can just be friends. There's usually like I always say, there's always somebody around to talk to. It may or may not be the place for you. I think it's a pretty awesome place. But for $5, you can give it a shot. So that would be patreon.com/ you guessed it, Hello Leesh. And as well as Instagram, Twitter, Hello Leesh, YouTube, Hello Leesh. And so that is HELLOLEESH, which is probably somewhere on one of your screens right now anyway. But links to those things are in the description of this video. I'm going to do one last thank you guys for helping with the links to my wrenches. One last hashtag water gang. And yeah, I love you, dude. To the 502 people who are here hanging out with me, 495 now. 7 of you dropped off real fast. Thanks for watching. Thank you for helping brighten my Tuesday. I have not noticed my headache nearly as much as I have the past 24 hours. So thank you for taking that time. Even 2 hours to just feel a little bit better is huge when you suffer from migraines. So thank you guys. And to my patrons, I will see you over on Discord. I'm going to be editing tonight and all day tomorrow. And if all goes well, like I said, I'll have a live premiere for you guys with a video tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I did everything that you guys told me to do, producers. If not, I'll do better next time. We'll keep getting better. I love you guys. I don't know how to end these, so I'm just going to go ahead and say goodbye. I love you guys so much. And good night. And bye. Have a good pee. Bye.